Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. And that's a really good question. Like, that's a topic I do have a strong opinion on. We're in a culture right now where we let the word like drive us in how we make decisions. And I've never been an advocate of allowing the word like to lead me into making a lot of decisions, especially I'm talking about my professional decision making in the classroom when I coach and now as a small business owner. One of the biggest misconceptions, and it's a huge topic now, is do people have to like you to perform well for you? And I don't think so. I think respect way outweighs like. I know personally I've had to work for people who I didn't necessarily like, but I did respect them because they knew what they were talking about and they knew how to make me a better professional. And I respected that. They were great communicators. Maybe we didn't agree on a lot of different things, but I didn't allow like to factor into our relationship. I respected them as a professional, and I think that's all you can ask out of a person in leadership or leadership position. In regards to kids or students or players, I think the same goes. I don't think a kid has to necessarily like the coach or the teacher or the professor, or as an adult, your boss, in order to perform well for them. I think it goes back to respect. Looking back at a lot of the kids who I've had in the classroom or in the gym as a phys ed and health and sports psychology teacher and head basketball coach, I think kids by and large want to know what you know and how can you make them better. And that's probably that statement's probably geared more to our more high performing students who want to be the best or high performing players. I think that's also viable in the business world as well. I think if we rely on the word like, then you're opening up a big can of worms that probably doesn't lead to a whole lot of success. Your job as a student is to be the best student you can be. Your job as a player is to be the best you can be. And in the professional world, you're not only, and maybe this applies to all the aforementioned aspects, your job basically is to exceed your expectations. And that's going to be a great separator between you and the other people around you. And now, that factors into competition. Life's all about competition, and like has no, very rarely has anything to do with competing. If you're a competitor, you want to know what the coach knows, you want to know what his or her expectations are for you, and now it's my job to exceed those expectations. My father was a head football and a head baseball coach and a teacher, and one of the things he told me when I was in junior high, when athletics really became more important, you're leading into now high school athletics. So you're a junior high athlete. And dad told me, it doesn't matter what you think about the coach. That means nothing. Zero. Your job is to do what you're told, and you find a way to get out of him what he needs or what she needs you to do, and now you exceed those expectations. That's all this is about. You reaching your potential and you becoming better at your craft. And it's the same in the classroom. So I'm not an advocate of that. I know there's a lot of we see a lot of PD now. We see a lot of things where a big emphasis is on, well, the kids have to like you. I don't agree. I think respect far outweighs like. Then the question is, how do you garnish other people's respect? Being a great communicator, treating people professionally, being a good example, being a good steward of modeling what your company or your organization stands for. And you have to understand going into any leadership position, a lot of people don't like strong willed men or strong willed women who stand for something and they know where the line's drawn and they're not going to bend easily. And that's a big turnoff to a lot of people because we're in a society now where people want to be around applesauce or jelly beans, applesauce meaning there's no core there. and everything's soft and mushy, and everything's Shangri-La, and very rarely does that ever work. I don't think those companies or organizations outperform other companies in the same business or same business model. So no, I don't agree with that. I think you can get a kid's respect or adult's respect, but they don't necessarily have to like you. Um, I was very fortunate. I know I've gone over my time limit. I'm sorry. And I was very excited you asked me to take part in this conversation with the other six of you. But I was very lucky. I got raised by a World War II vet and my grandfather on my mom's side. My dad, my mom was a home economics teacher, and then she left education to start her own small business. And I had a lot of strong-willed men around me. From grades 5 through 12, there was a core group of older men in our community who took me under their wing. I was 6'5" as an eighth grader, and all of these men had played college basketball or played at a high level, and they took me under their wing when I was in fifth grade. Hugh Gibson, Rick Stout, Doug Seagrave, Paul Kaiser, Jeff Kemp, and I know I'm leaving some people out, but they took me under their wing, and they took me with them everywhere. They got my mom and dad's blessing. These guys played basketball. That was their passion. They were in the workforce. They all had families. They were all homeowners, but their passion still outside of work was playing basketball. So they would take me all over northern Indiana to play basketball, whether it be in open gyms or leagues. They would let me play on their teams. And so I was in a car with them a lot, and they taught me the value of competition. They taught me the value of forgetting about what everybody else thinks. You be you, and you compete for everything, everything. Don't ever expect a handout. Never. You go out and you compete. You find out what the expectations are, and you take those expectations and you destroy them. You out exceed everybody around you, but don't worry about what other people think. My dad used to say all the time, if you want to, the fastest way you can drive yourself crazy is trying to think what other people think. It's impossible. So you do what you do. You find out what your leaders around you need from you, and that's all you focus on. Forget about like. And I think the best teachers, the best coaches, the best leaders in the business world, I think, have that philosophy. As far as I know, I've had some principals who I didn't necessarily like, but I respected them greatly. They made me a better teacher. Uh, the flip side of the coin, I had one of the stops my wife and I made while we were chasing a basketball all over Indiana and in Northwest Ohio, moving all the time. You're going to work for a lot of different people. We were at one stop where the principal and the athletic director and I played a lot of golf together, played golf all the time. And they never allowed what we did outside of school to factor in on how I was treated during the school day. Uh, Jeff Hodgson was the principal, great principal, respected the heck out of him. And yeah, I liked him. I did. He was a great guy. It was hard not to like Jeff, but he stood for a lot of things. We had a lot of commonalities together. And when it was time to evaluate me, he never allowed like to creep into my evaluations or any of those things. And the same with basketball. When Robbie, our AD, had to evaluate me, he never allowed what we did outside of school, our friendship or like, factor into how he evaluated me as a basketball coach. Never. And I respected that. So, uh, again, sorry I'm way over my time, but that's two topics I do have a lot of passion for is the importance of like or being liked in competition. So I'll shut up now and let everybody else talk.